this! Ah! Before I consume you! Now!
One day at Tidmouth Sheds, Percy, Thomas, and Genty, also known as Jimmy, were telling ghost stories.
Ooh, spooky.
And every year on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul.
Percy, I've heard that story millions and millions of times. It's getting boring. Oh, because you got scared. Oh, those were the old days when... You know why. Because you got spooked, yes, and they made a whole episode about it. Ugh, stupid writers. Genty was looking worried. I had a ghost story of my own. Oh, whatever, Genty, you don't know anything but crap. But I saw one. You saw what? A ghost? That's impossible. But it's true. It all began in the 1950s. Woo!
Jimmy the Genty was hard at work at Euston Station. From time to time, there would be young boys taking down his number in a small book and ticking him off a list. Young men also used to congregate at the end of the platform with their cameras and take photographs. "They are train spotters," said the driver. "They take a keen interest in seeing how many locomotives they have spotted and which ones they have yet to see." "Oh, they must be bored of seeing me all the time," teased Jimmy. "I'm here all day, every day." That afternoon a small boy walked up to Jimmy. "Hello," he smiled. "Are there any new engines coming in today?" "I don't think so," replied Jimmy. "Why do you ask?" "I want to tick off some more engines in my book, but I can't if I haven't seen them." "Who have you got already?" The boy went through his list. "I've got 42468. Oh, that's William," chuckled Jimmy. "Number 44871 and number 46144. That'll be Roger and Arthur. And then there's number 17. "Number 17, wondered Jimmy. "I don't know who that is. You sure you have the right number? Usually engines have 5 digits. "It's what was written on the side of the engine's bunker," explained the boy. "I couldn't find the engine in my train spotter's book, so I wrote it on the back page." Jimmy tried to think of an engine who belonged to the number 17. He then tried to think of engines whose numbers finished in 17. But no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't come to a satisfying conclusion. It was long after the boy left when Jimmy gave up with indignation. "That boy must have been pulling my wheels. No such engine with that sort of number has ever come through here." And he snorted off to collect some coaches. Jimmy returned to the shed, still frustrated that he had been tricked. "Something troubling you, Jimmy?" asked Fred. "Nothing really, just that I got tricked by a silly little train spotter today." "How so?" "He went through all the engines he had seen in his book, and then made me waste time and effort trying to see who this mysterious engine was." "What was his number?" inquired Ivert. "Number 17. Fred turned pale. "What number did you say it was?" 17. I mean, I feel absolutely ridiculous that I even fell for it. There's no engine numbered 17, puffed Jimmy. "Oh yes there is," murmured Fred. "Engine 17 used to work here." The engines fell silent. Engine 17 was built at the same time as Simon. They were both experimental engines, built to a similar design to that of the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway E2 class. The differences were quite obvious. Though both were small in size, Simon was given 4 wheels, and Engine 17 had 6. As you know, Simon was sent to work in the coal mines. Engine 17 was sold to the newly formed LMS, who were seeking new locomotives to operate. Engine 17 went on trial in the yards. He was very stuck up and conceited. He thought this sort of work was beneath him. He considered himself special, unique, or as he put it, one of a kind. Apart from his attitude, mechanically he was deemed a failure. He was a poor steamer with very inadequate pulling capabilities. The LMS decided not to base a design from him and instead opted for the Ginty class as their shunters. I remember seeing him in the sheds. He always seemed very distant and never wanted to mingle with the other engines after this. "I deserve better," he used to say. The years went past, and Engine 17 soon grew lazy, and instead of shunting the yards, he'd go wandering off like a vagabond, sometimes without his crew. But they'd always manage to stop him before he reached the main line. "This attitude will be the death of you," they would say. Engine 17 took no notice. In hindsight, he really should have. For one night during the war, he jolted his driver off the footplate and had rolled onto the main line. Some say he was laughing as he did it. He wasn't laughing when he saw what was coming. "What happened?" asked Robin. Fred sighed. Engine 17 had wandered into the path of the post train. Whilst no one was seriously injured in the collision, and the express locomotive was duly repaired, Engine 17, however, was beyond saving. The damage was so extensive, there was nothing really left of him. Because it was during wartime, the accident was covered up, as most were at the time. Engine 17 was quickly forgotten. Not even Simon asked about him when he came to the yards and did the very job Engine 17 had been meant to do. "So Engine 17 doesn't exist?" quivered Jimmy. "No, Jimmy. He is dead." Not another word was spoken. A few nights later, Terry arrived at the junction with a goods train. The story of Engine 17 had been playing on his mind all day, but now night had fallen, and in trying not to spook himself, he shrugged the story off as nothing but empty words. "Please," he huffed. "I've been working on this railway for ages now, and I've not seen no Engine 17. It ain't back from the dead at all." As he departed the station, he suddenly felt the feeling that he was being watched. Out on the main line, Terry caught the glimpse of an unfamiliar figure inside him. "That will be nothing. Don't worry," he soothed. He then saw the figure of a tank engine again and again. It seemed the engine was everywhere. "That's not nothing. It's Engine 17, cried Terry. The faster Terry seemed to go, the more and more Engine 17 seemed to appear. "Get away from me!" Terry was soon running at full speed. "What do you want from me?" Suddenly his driver screeched him to a halt. "Whoa, boy, what are you doing?" he exclaimed. "You nearly went through a red signal." "It's Engine 17. He's after me," panted Terry in alarm. "Calm down, old boy. Calm down. Calm down. I'm about to be steam fried by some nutjob ghost and you're telling me to calm down. All right, Terry, that's enough. You're never usually like this," said the driver, concerned. "We'll take a breather here and continue on slowly. Will that be all right?" "I suppose so," muttered Terry meekly. Further down the main line, Horwich was pulling his evening passenger train out of London. Everything was as it always was when Horwich entered the long straight. Suddenly, Horrocks had his eyes closed tightly, but he didn't feel an impact. The driver and fireman raced round to the front of their engine. "Where's it gone?" cried the driver. "It was there, right in front of us." The guard walked up to the crew. "Have we hit something?" "There was an engine, sir," whimpered Horrocks. "It were right in front of us. I'm sure we hit it, but I didn't feel anything." "I heard the crash, but I didn't feel a jolt," said the fireman. "Me too," added the guard. "It doesn't add up. There's no engine at all. I tell you I saw an engine. I believe you. But engines don't just vanish into thin air." "They do if they're the ghosts like Engine 17, whispered Horrocks gravely to himself. Further back, Ivett had been halted at a signal due to the delay. With men on the line searching for a stricken engine, it was not safe to proceed forwards. "I hope everything is all right," puffed Ivett. "I'd hate to think if anyone was hurt." At that moment, the signalman received confirmation of a train coming in the other direction. The signalman accepted the train into his section and raised the signal for the train to pass through. This wasn't unusual, until Ivett heard the unfamiliar puffing sounds approaching in the distance. Did you see it? Did you see it? Shouted Ivett in fright. "See what?" asked the driver, oblivious. It was him. It was Engine 17. He was here. I just saw him." "Ivett, you're worrying me now. Stop this at once. He's going to come back to get us. He's going to get us all." It took some time to calm Ivett down. The poor engine was nearly in tears. At Euston Station, Jimmy had completed all of his duties. The last to leave was the post train. Arthur stood waiting to leave. News had reached them of the delays further up the main line, but that the post train was granted permission to overtake and bypass the obstruction. "The mail train is of great importance. Nothing must stop it," said Arthur grandly. "Indeed," agreed Jimmy. "You'll be able to make up for lost time, no matter what." Arthur chuckled. With the right-of-way given, Arthur steamed carefully into the night.
Oh, you. Anyway.
"Ah! Engine 17! He's here!" cried Jimmy. Jimmy shot backwards and lunged into the station. He quickly hid behind the station columns. He held his breath and didn't dare make a sound. The entire station was eerily quiet. Jimmy was so frightened he wanted to cry. Suddenly, Engine 17 let out an ear-piercingly loud whistle. He lunged forwards and tore into the terminus. Silence fell upon the station again. Jimmy looked around in horror. Engine 17 had gone. The next morning, the engines told Fred what had happened. "It was awful. It was like he was messing with me mind," shivered Terry. "It's not like you to get scared," observed Robin. You try pulling a train at night with a ghost who likes playing musical lines." "He went right through Euston Station," explained Jimmy. "I've never seen anything like it in my life." "I hope this isn't a regular occurrence. I won't be able to sleep at night," muttered Horrocks. "I'll make sure that it won't be," Fred said firmly, and without another word, Fred steamed out of the sheds. "What's he gonna do, have a railway seance?" What I don't understand is why this engine is appearing now, pondered Jimmy. I've never seen him before. He's probably always been around, suggested Ivert, just that we never knew he existed. Until now. That night, Fred asked to take Jimmy's place at doing the evening pilot duties. The shed master and the station master granted his request, to the delight of Jimmy. He quickly made a break for the safety of the sheds. When all the work had been completed and the last train had left, Fred waited patiently for engine 17 to arrive. He stared into the black abyss, trying to recognize dark shapes and figures in the darkness. Time ticked on. Fred was about to give up when he heard a faint puffing sound on the air. As it grew louder, Fred held firm. He knew no other engine was scheduled to arrive. It could only be one engine. Engine 17. "Hello, Engine 17, murmured Fred defiantly. "You've certainly made quite the performance scaring locomotives that run at night." Engine 17 did not reply. "But this petulant behaviour must stop. I want you gone from this railway. You are banished. Never return." Engine 17 began to growl. "Don't you dare think you can scare me. I'm not frightened of you. You got what you wanted. You were arrogant and lazy. Your only accomplishment is that you wanted to wander around the railway aimlessly, and now you've achieved that. What happened to you was your own fault, and I do not pity you for it. You don't have my sympathy. My sympathy goes out to my friends who had to suffer the vile torture you put them through. Leave the railway. You have no place in it." Engine 17 returned to silence and disappeared into the night. Fred thought back over his words. Though they were harsh but true, Fred began to wonder whether it had been his place to say such things. He hoped his words had meaning, and that Engine 17 had now gone. When he returned to the sheds, Jimmy was awake. "Are you all right, Fred?" he quizzed. "Did you see Engine 17? Has he gone?" "Don't concern yourself, dear Jimmy. Engine 17 won't be coming back any more. He is gone." Fred closed his eyes and went to sleep. Jimmy remained awake. He looked out into the darkness. "I don't think so, Fred."
That's what happened. Jeez, that's the most scariest thing I ever heard. So weird. Sounds similar to my story and another thing I saw on a creepypasta website. The website. Yeah, let's not talk about that. That's trash. Your brother's still alive. Yeah, he is. So, whatever happened to it? Do you ever see him again? No, he disappeared after that. But I swear I saw him. I will never forget that day. The Indians would agree. And now I'm in the wall.